Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, we're back with our Friday review episode here on the Cabral Concept. Each and every Friday bringing you one of the most all-encompassing shows of the week. We go into everything from updates as to what is going on in our global health community and private practice. We go over a recap of the week to see if you missed anything on the Cabral Concept. I always typically do a product review or I do a book review, both of which I love, always, of course, within this health and wellness-based community. All of 2022, I'm dedicated to doing an herb of the week. So this week is no different, and we'll be going over one of the most popular and scientifically backed herbs out there. And then I have two research studies for you that you will absolutely won't want to miss, because one of them, of course, is another attack from conventional medicine on herbal-based nutrients that have been around for, 5,000 years more than pharmaceuticals. But anyway, we'll get into that. And then another one on basically moving the body. And this one is not to be missed as well, since it does affect people who also work out. All right, let's dive into the show. Today's episode 2415. I mentioned that because there'll be a lot of links today, research, products, etc. Head on over to stephencabral.com/2415 to follow along with all of the different links. All right, first things first, I'm super excited about this. Haven't been able to mention it until really today, but we have finally put together the first issue of Cabral Living. So basically an extension of everything that I do with this show and everything really that my adult life has been about, which is trying to help myself and other people around the world to get well, to live a healthier life, to achieve their ideal weight, and to live as long a life as possible with a good quality of life. So again, I found my answers many years ago now. It doesn't seem like that, but it has been many years now. And I will not stop. I will continue to forever share this message and allow it to continue to grow. And that's exactly what we're all about. So the magazine is a new extension of that. And again, I couldn't be more excited about that. The team did a phenomenal job. I mean, this is without a doubt going to be the biggest and best issue, I'm sure, that we ever do. Well, maybe not the best, but it is the biggest issue for sure. I mean, it's just chocked full of content. And our inaugural issue is all going to be around stress, sleep, and a lot of other fun factors in there as well. It's completely free. There's nothing to purchase at all. And it's all content. So I can't wait for you to check it out. We will, it'll be debuting soon. So I don't want to give out the link today. Just stay tuned either for the Sunday Rewind. So if you haven't already signed up for the Sunday Rewind, I would definitely do so. Again, it's free. It comes out once a week on Sundays. And then I try to just share with you my favorite products on a Wednesday, and that's it. So it's 1 to 2 emails maximum per week. And again, just hopefully good content for you. So that's at stephencabral.com/newsletter. Anybody on the newsletter will get the magazine first and of course free. That will come out hopefully this Sunday. So tune into that. Let me know what you think. Again, I would love to hear from you. It's for our community, and it's really by our community. You'll see a lot of fun success stories in there. So just let us know what you think, and we'll continue to get better and improve, just like hopefully we all are, right? That's what it's all about. All right, what's going on at Equal Life this week? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are now offering double savings on any new subscription. That means 30% off for the first month of that subscription. Then you go on to save 15% month after month after month. And if you set up any subscriptions, 4-week subscriptions of $79 or more, you actually get over $5,000 worth of real world value with that each and every year. And simply put, you get a membership to iBone, completely free. You get 4 labs every single year, free, with 4 lab results coaching calls. You get the online workouts. You get so much. And I would love you to check that out. So that's just head on over to equa.life/Ayubowen. If you've never heard about our Ayubowen membership, our brand new app, that's AYU. BOWAN, Ayubowen. And the double your savings is just, again, maybe there's a new product out there you're looking to try. It's no obligations, by the way. If you don't love the product, of course, you can always return it as well. But if you don't love the product, you can cancel your subscription. That's okay with us. We can still be friends, of course. But I would love you to try out a new product like the Advanced Collagen Support if you haven't been using that yet, or the Daily Fruit and Vegetable Blend, 22 organic fruits and vegetables, the Daily Digestive Enzyme, the Daily Omega-3 Support, any one of those foundational products. If you're not already using those, I would check that out. You can find them all at stevencabral.com/shop. Just this week, this offer is just for this week. We've never done 30% off every subscription at Equal Life. This is the first time. I don't know if it'll be the last, but certainly for a long time it will be. And check it out right now at stevencabral.com/shop. That'll send you right over to Equal Life. All right, podcast recap of the week. Success must start in the morning. If you didn't check that out, that was episode 2411. By the way, all these shows can always be found at stevencabral.com/podcasts. That's where all the archives live. This was one of my favorite shows, all-time favorite shows. I really believe success is created in the morning. I really do. Not at night, not midday. I think it is the morning. I really believe that. Check out that show for the details. All right, Tuesday's show was how to get rid of burping and gas. We see so many people in our practice with burping, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. You certainly do want to check out that show if you ever having any digestive-based issues, especially with the burping and gas part, because I talk about the science behind why that happens and the science behind also how you can get rid of it. So hopefully that was helpful. And then on Wednesday's show, is this the easiest fasting method to stick with? The research says yes. You'll want to check that out. It's the easiest way to do intermittent fasting, in my opinion. It's probably like for beginners, what you should start with. And then even people like myself have been fasting for a long, long time. With intermittent fasting, of course. I still do this once to twice a week, and so check it out. All right, and then yesterday's show was why mosquitoes only bite certain people. This was a fun show. I get the question all the time, so I figured, hey, why not make a show out of it? And that was a lot of fun because I'm one of those people that mosquitoes bite all the time. So why me and not someone like my wife who never gets bit? And so literally never gets bit. And why do I get bit? And so I share that with you. I'm like natural bug repellent for her because they just simply attack me instead. So I go over that. I also, of course, share my favorite mosquito tick repellents as well. All right, this week's product review of the week, well, it's none other than our absolute favorite for 4 years or 5 years running now? Probably 4 years. I think 4 years from the beginning we've been really promoting them. And that is Cozy Earth. I'm going to actually share this with you because I just bought another new set. So the thing is too, this makes absolutely the best gift set for people. I want to show you this. So if you're watching this on video, and if you're not watching this video, that's okay. I'm going to hold the bag up. It's going to cover the entire video screen. So you can see that right there. It's this beautiful canvas bag that you can reuse. I mean, it could be a beach bag because it's a nice canvas bag, going around, picking up your groceries in it, your odds and ends. We keep all of our Cozy Earth-based bags. This one was a king set of sheets. So this right here is a bigger bag. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, like I said, for going shopping, we keep our bags and we always end up using them. So why am I a huge advocate of Cozy Earth? Simply put, I really believe this. There's no other bamboo-based sheet that feels anything like them. I've got my pillowcase right here, so I'm going to show you this. I'm going to hold this up, and you can almost hear it right now. Like it has this super heavy, high quality bamboo-based fiber, which, by the way, bamboo is pretty much one of the only sustainable, fast-growing, easy to plant, doesn't use a ton of water fabrics that is also super soft. This is by far the softest pillowcase and sheets you will ever get. Why am I making such a big deal out of pillowcases and sheets and all that? I'll tell you right now. One is it's going to be better for your skin. Okay, so there's a lot of people in our practice, they've got eczema, psoriasis, acne, etc. These are much more breathable. You have to have sheets that are breathable. If not, the oil is just going to sit there on your skin and against the pillowcase, and it can just start to build up in your pores. Okay, so that's one. Number two is that you want a sheet that also helps to regulate body temperature naturally. So I'm pretty much always hot. My wife's pretty much always cold. Okay, these sheets work for the both of us, right? Like that's the nice thing. It helps to regulate body temperature by allowing your body and skin to breathe. The third is that they're unbelievably comfortable. So when you get into bed, there's no scratchy sheets. They're super soft, whether it be winter or summertime. Again, the breathability allows for that, that it's easy to fall asleep. And since we pretty much all spend about 1/3 of our life in bed, that's 8 hours a day, right? Or somewhere around there. It's one of those things I wrote in my email. Hopefully you got my Wednesday product review a few weeks back, but there's a few things that I spend money on. There really is good quality food. You know, I have my filters around my house, all those types of things. But like in terms of like, hey, what do you use all the time? You know, I always say that it's like whatever you use the most, make sure it's good quality. The other stuff that you don't use that often, honestly, like I hardly ever replace that stuff, or I just don't, you know, I don't spend as much money there. But with good quality sheets, I absolutely do, especially since you can just use this one pair of really good quality sheets and just watch them on like a Sunday. You know, just clean them, hot water, get all the dust and skin and all the other stuff. I know it's kind of gross, but all the stuff that comes off while you're in bed for 8 hours a day, that, you know, you can wash that away. You just put your sheets back on. You've got fresh, clean, soft sheets every single week. So again, like I said, they're the only brand of sheets that I do recommend. And that's because there's really no second best. And I don't know, for whatever this is worth, Oprah has voted it 3 years in a row as her top product list. I think she has a list of like a dozen or so products, and this has always been on her list. So I'll share with you this. Today, if you head on over to 2415, we have a 40% discount code off for our community. I always let the companies know if I'm going to review their product or not. By the way, I spend my own money on these sheets. I also gift these at holidays for family members, which they've always loved. It's a nice, thoughtful gift. And you get 40% off with, well, I'm not going to give you the coupon code because it may have changed. So just head on over to stephencabral.com/2415, and we will make sure that we leave that coupon code there for you. I'm actually going to look up to see what the last one was. And it was, I bet it was Cabral 40. Yep, it was Cabral 40, all caps for Cabral 40. But I just want to make sure if there's not a new updated one, of course, we would put that at stephencabral.com/2415. Enjoy the recommendation. I'm telling you right now, you'll love them. All right, next up, our herb of the week. Well, our herb of the week, and I looked through my list for the year, and we've gone through so many already. And I said, well, I think a lot of people will already know this herb, and I'm trying to teach new herbs, but what if there are some people that don't? So I wanted to go over it because it is one of the most important ones out there because it's the most, well, it's one of the most well-studied. And it's called turmeric. Some people pronounce it turmeric, but there is an R in there. And so since I'm trying to work on my Boston accent, and I have been for like 20 years now, we say turmeric. And anyway, inside of turmeric are these plant-based compounds that some people love to call plant toxins, but they're not toxins. These are actually the benefits that we get as anti-inflammatory agents that lead to all of the great research that we have on these herbs. That's why it'd be too bad if you actually fell for the dogma of plant-based toxins, but I digress. So what are the benefits inside of this turmeric? Well, the potent phytonutrient is called curcumin or curcuminoids for the actual compound name. Now, here's the interesting thing about curcuminoids. They have been studied, at least in terms of modern-based science, almost more than anything else. And that's because, and I'm going to go over some of the details right now, it's literally working as one of the most anti-inflammatory herbs that we know. So if it's an anti-inflammatory herb, what would it help with? Well, it would help with pretty much everything, right? Like that's the thing. It would help with pretty much everything. So we have studies on type 2 diabetes and high blood sugar. We have studies on anti-cancer-based compounds. We have studies on heart disease and circulation. So I just want to go over for some of these right now, and then I want to give you a good dosage to take it at. And also, I should say, you probably already had it before. It's what gives curry, if you've ever had a curry sauce, that yellowish color, that's turmeric. So it's a root that's not dissimilar looking to ginger. It basically looks exactly like ginger, except turmeric on the inside is yellowish and ginger on the inside is orange-ish. And so when you look at that, you say, well, they look pretty much the same. Yes, they're both roots, and they both have amazing, by the way, medicinal-based properties. Okay, so here's the thing, though. If you want to maximize, and then I'll get into it now. If you're just taking straight turmeric, you want to take it with black pepper, or ideally something called piperine or bioperine. And the reason why you want to take that is the science does show that when you take turmeric by itself, not as well absorbed, not bad though, it's still not bad, you still get the antioxidants, so it's not like you're not getting any benefit. However, when you take it with something called bioperine, which is just the extract from black pepper or piperine, is that it's absorbed 2,000% more. Right? 2,000% more. So it's always one of those great things if you're taking straight turmeric, because straight turmeric, by the way, is amazing as well. It doesn't always have to be curcumin or curcuminoids. You can take turmeric, so you get all the components of turmeric, plus then you take it with bioperine. So it's both great ways. I should say both ways are great. And I like using both. I really do. All right. So here's some of the main conditions that this herb has scientifically been proven to help with. The first is, again, I talked about this before, but cancer. All right. So now I have to give you my disclaimer as I'm kind of like laughing to myself. I cannot provide you with any medical advice, any medical treatment plans, any medical cures, or any diagnosis for any disease. So what I'm doing is I'm simply quoting independent, peer-reviewed, PubMed published science. Okay. So it can help with cancer. It can help with metabolic syndrome, which is what? High cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, okay? It can help with Alzheimer's disease. Again, keep in mind, anti-inflammatory components, high antioxidants, right? And heart disease as well. So cancer, all the blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and a host of really other degenerative diseases. Degenerative diseases are ones that begin to break the body down. One of the reasons for Alzheimer's, antioxidant, of course, helps with blood sugar, because Alzheimer's is literally called type 3 diabetes for a reason. I've lots of show on Alzheimer's if you want to learn more about why it's called type 3 diabetes. But it also produces something called brain-derived neurotropic factor. So BDNF, and again, I've got shows on BDNF that I will link up for you today at 24:15. But one of the reasons why this is important is because many brain disorders, not just Alzheimer's, like just dementia in general, have been linked to a decrease of BDNF, right? So if there's a decrease of BDNF leading to Alzheimer's, dementia, et cetera, well, you want to be able to produce more of it naturally. And interesting enough, curcumin and turmeric help with that. All right, so I'm going to keep it at that. I'll allow you to do your additional research should you want to, but one other factor that I just want to share with you, I've also used it in people, with people, I should say, again, working on underlying root cause imbalances that have arthritis, that have joint pain, and that also have mood-related issues as well, such as depression. So the product that I use, because you know I always use synergistic products, is called InflamaSoothe, but you can use any product that you want as well. Whatever feels good for you, you should use, but I always tell you what I do in my practice that I've seen work and that I also use myself. And so that is called InflamaSoothe. And of course, it is by, well, at least this time, it's by Equilife. All right. So next up, what do we have? We have research this week. Of course we do. This was in the news. I'm not sure if you saw this, but of course it was a slander campaign that then was pulled back and actually came out with a little retraction that, of course, nobody saw, but I want to share this with you. Okay, so here it is. Titled Adverse Events, Expert Says, Conclusion that White Mulberry Leaf Caused Death is Mere Speculation. So conventional medicine knows, and so does all good scientists, that herbs very rarely, if ever, meaning like literally if ever, cause any type of death, like ever. There are some outlier-based cases, yes. I mean, but here, keep this in mind. It's often said that pharmaceuticals are the second or third leading cause of death in the United States. And that's because when doctors and pharmacists give people medication, it's not always very well documented and understood, excuse me, how these drugs are interacting with other drugs or other things in their life. And that's because they're not studied that way. They're studied with one drug at one time for an individual. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. Herbs, I mean, again, there can be adverse reactions. There's no doubt about it. To cause death is so unlikely. But anytime there's a possibility, the media runs wild with it because what they want is they want drug companies and the government to be the ones overseeing herbs and nutritional supplements. It's crazy. Every single year we have to fight against this. Every single year, Congress tries to push through some bills that would allow for the regulation of nutritional supplements. And yes, there are some unscrupulous and devious companies out there, mainly selling on Amazon, that are not functional medicine-based nutritional supplement companies, and they're not doing good things. Yes, I agree with that. But it's that way for every industry in the world. It really is. That's why I always just say, just go with a company you trust. That's it. And use GMP, use the third-party tested, use a functional medicine-based brand, and you don't have to just use Ecolife. I shared with you this before. You can use other great companies out there like a Thorne or Pure Encapsulations or a Integrative Therapeutics or a Vital. These are all good companies. So I'm just sharing with you that, again, unbiased-wise, it's not even a fraction of a percent of adverse reactions. And so anyway, they printed this in print and then they did a retraction, but again, nobody's ever going to see it. So they basically said a rush to judgment. Yesterday in the New York Times and other media outlets, they reported that white mulberry, which can be used, well, it's used for so many different things. I've never talked about it as an herb on my podcast. It's because we never use it. But again, there's thousands of herbs out there. And there is a lot of benefit with cardiovascular disease like cholesterol, with blood sugar, and other metabolic factors. So people actually use it for weight loss and other things like that. Again, it's not my favorite to use for weight loss. I don't use it in my practice, but that doesn't mean it's a bad herb. And when you look on it, and I know that I looked it up specifically because an adverse results for white mulberry, literally are considered to be loose stool, dizziness, constipation, or bloating. That's basically it. And again, that's rare to have that happen, but sure, some people will. And they actually give a disclaimer. Just be careful using this if you're on diabetic medication because it can actually lower your blood sugar because that's one of the reasons why it works. Again, we know this from real science. So anyway, they did a little bit of a hit piece on it saying that, and it is unfortunate that a person, basically someone died, I'm not going to name their name, and they had some undigested white mulberry leaf in their system. Now, this should be the first giveaway. It was undigested. It was still in their stomach. It hadn't even gone into the bloodstream yet. So anyway, I find that wild. But anyway, they then did a retraction. They came to the conclusion that she died from dehydration and other underlying factors might be the specific medications that she's on. And so it was essentially called an unlikely culprit for white mulberry. They had a vast array of experts come out and saying that there are very few adverse events. There's a lot of white mulberry supplements and teas on the market. And if it could cause this kind of problem, you'd expect to see lots of cases, and you just don't. So again, this goes on and on. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but if you saw the case, I just wanted to share that with you and why we have to be careful of a lot of what we see in print and in the media. That's all. So again, but take it for what you want, and again, always be speculative, always be skeptical. There's nothing wrong with that, but do the research on both sides. That's all that I ask, and that means for natural health as well. So I have no problem with that. All right, last research of the week. This one was not my favorite research to read, but I don't bring you just my favorite research. I bring you always the truth of what's out there, and this one is called Association of Sitting Time, so sitting time, with mortality and cardiovascular events. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this to you is because it was actually done in over 21 countries and well over 100,000 participants. And it showed an increased risk of all-cause mortality and major cardiovascular disease and death. And the association was more pronounced in those that sat more. And why I want to share this with you is that up until about 27, 28 years old, I was on my feet all day long. And I don't mean all day long, kind of like all day long. My job was, I was teaching other personal trainers. I was teaching health. I was training clients one-on-one. The only time I sat down literally was maybe to have my lunch if I wasn't on the run, or doing a nutrition consultation. And so it's like I was always on my feet. But then went back, got my degree, and also just started sitting more. And the reason is that I sit when I talk with people in my practice, right? Like that's how it worked. And so I always do my morning walk, my morning movements. I do my lunchtime walk, and then I do my workout later in the afternoon. And so that's great. But this study, let me just read it to you because, again, not my favorite study to see. But it showed that those who reported sitting time of less than 4 hours per day and high physical activity, kind of moving their body, versus participants who sat for 8 or more hours per day, those that sat longer experienced a 17% to 50% higher associated risk for all-cause mortality and especially cardiovascular death and disease. So, and that includes, by the way, strokes, heart failure, and myocardial infarctions, which is basically a heart attack. And so what we need to do is kind of assess where we're at right now in our life. And I'll be doing a follow-up podcast. I don't know if it's next week. Let me see if I can find it here real quick for you to see if it's coming next week. No, it looks like it's coming in 2 weeks from now. So definitely stay tuned for that. But I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more in depth. And the reason is this, is that I sit probably close to 8 hours a day now. I mean, like as I'm thinking about it, all my recordings, all my videos, all my interviews, all my kind of like research, I'm typically seated. I get my 10,000 steps a day. So that's very helpful. But I think we just need to be cognizant of how much we do sit. And if you're sitting a lot, are you getting your 10,000 steps a day? Pretty much, it's one of the most important but overlooked longevity factors in the world. I truly believe this. When you look at the blue zones-based people, they walked a lot. They really did. They walked hills. They were on steep-based areas. And in their villages, they walked. And so I'm telling you right now, if you're over the age, especially if you're over the age of like 55, 60, get those 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. If you have difficulty walking, I understand. Try to use an upright bike then or some other way to move that body, get your body moving. All right, that is it. Again, but there's always an answer. So the answer is, how do we fight this? We don't need to do super hard workouts all the time. We need to get our body moving. Walk more, sit less, right? All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow answering our community's questions. Stay tuned. Take care. Have an amazing weekend. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.